What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the all-new 361 degrees Joker 1 GT. Let's get into them. And thanks to 361 for sending me the pair that you should check out. However, this video is not sponsored, and as always, all opinions, good, bad, and different on these are all my own. Now, starting off in the uppers, the differences from the Joker 1 to the Joker 1 GT, like from 30,000 feet, they're somewhat hard to spot, but they are there and they are kind of significant, actually, the performance as well as fit. Now, number one, I think the biggest difference, and I have to say that the biggest feature of the uppers of the GT is that it's got a hybrid two-piece tongue versus would be a one-piece, that's a slipper tongue, or a three-piece, which is a traditional tongue. This one, it's almost like the Nike Vapor Cage 4 older tennis shoe. They're actually still making it. Whereas on the medial side, it is open with a gusset, same as a traditional tongue. On the lateral side, it is integrated. And that is to give a little bit more containment laterally. When you're pushing through it, everything is kind of locked in at once, but you do get a little more of the customization. I'm going with what's that? But anyway, more of the customization of lockdown that a three-piece tongue affords, where you can just lock it down a little bit more, you can tuck the tongue in a little bit better. And I've personally found with these kind of modified or hybrid two-piece tongues, they can be really good at some things and not so much at others. Whereas, yeah, laterally, you'll see when I was doing the dynamic grip testing on these, even after having these for a little bit, the first time you go to stop on them, it's always a little bit of a different sensation, because with the outsole tread on these things being what it is, plus the uppers, it's almost more containing than you think it's gonna be. But the thing is that pushing off, it's a different sensation, because then your medial ankle, your subtalar joint, talar-navicular joint, your rear foot joints, can start to push through the shoe like more of a traditional shoe. So it is a little bit of a different feeling. In tennis, I think it's actually not a great construct. In basketball, I think it's a lot better, because it actually allows you to get lower. You don't need necessarily the type of push off you need in a basketball court versus what you need on a tennis court. So I do think it works better in basketball. Now, getting into the breathability testing on the heat map, you can kind of see where you pay for that a little bit on the back end. These things did heat up 117.4 degrees, and that is on the new breathability testing, where those numbers are actually getting lower because everything's simultaneous. And it's because, number one, the tongue is thick. You do get some breathing channels through it on the sides of it, but you do get quite a bit of padding, and it's locked in on one side. So egressive heat and moisture is really only getting out of one side pretty consistently. And you can see that on the breathability mapping too, where fog is, it's starting to get out of the sides of the tongue, more medial than lateral. It's just, put it this way, these are not gonna be the most breathable shoes on the planet. They're not designed to be, especially because in the forefoot, it's just all backing, right? This is all solid backing here in the forefoot, and you have even more of that, the felt here in the rear foot. So like I said, these things aren't meant to be a wide open mesh container, right? That they're not the Vaporflies or Alpha Flies. They're definitely meant for more containment. Now, as you go into the rear foot, you can see that the ankle collar is actually a lot lower. The heel counter retains its same height in the back, but that ankle collar is lower. The thing is, you still get all the same bulky bunting and padding underneath of it. So heel slippage with an orthotic is, maybe a hair. It's very, very mild. If you don't have an orthotic in there, it's none. You do not get a runner's knot in these things, but on the medial side, you actually get 3 levels of lockdown. You get the laces going through the padding, and then the internal ankle collar, and you get rope, and you get the plastic reinforcement of the lace line on the outside. So I think that also helps these with push-off force, whereas with some shoes you see with the modified two-piece ankle collar, you push through them so hard because it's only the laces that are really holding you in on the inside, whereas on these ones, you're getting a lot of reinforcement. On the upper durability test, 10-second tightest grit sandpaper, yeah, the burr really does start to work through that waxy layer. It doesn't get through the uppers, and you do get a ton of rubber coming up over the uppers. So I'd say on outdoor courts, if you're a real extreme dragger, you're gonna start to wear this, but I think for anything else, you really should be just fine on pretty much any court. All right, but getting into the midsole teardown, this is where the real updates are. If they are upgrades to you or not, that is obviously personal preference. Number one, you get a full bed of CQT Extreme 3 foam. It is nylon and CO2. This thing is bouncy feeling. Oh, it is, yeah. Even from the Joker 1, which also felt really lively, really bouncy, it feels even better. And starting to see these companies now, they're starting to build off of these thermoplastics, and are getting good, put it that way. You also have a bottom-loaded carbon fiber shank. It isn't that butterfly configuration. It does cross into the forefoot. Where I cut through it, it was more in the middle of it, so you can't see it, but if you look underneath the shoe, you can. And it actually is double thickness carbon fiber. You can see all the layers of carbon fiber. It's really hard to get through, so I am gonna call that double thickness, because for a carbon fiber shank, this is Actually, really, you are getting a ton of carbon fiber on this. So if you like carbon fiber, you're gonna like these. And it also has that really inferior TPU bar on that, so a little bit, a little bit more torsional stability in the rear foot. Does that accomplish anything? We'll talk about that in the fit section with the resting eversion position versus loading. But the materials in these, you can't deny they're pretty insane. And heads up, speaking of all these modifications from the Joker 1 to the Joker 1 GT in the midsole, if you want to make your own modifications to your own shoes, midsoles, uppers, really anything else, I am coming out with a brand new ebook that is going to be coming out soon. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below of this video of things you would like to see in the book. It already has quite a huge list of customizations and things that are going to be in there, but I would love to hear kind of what your biggest pinch points are with shoes, customization, trying to get them to fit the best possible, getting the best performance, fit, and comfort. So whatever you would like to see in there or something that, like I said, you've been struggling with, make sure you leave me a comment down below and you might see it in the book. Look at this on the bounce height test, 44 centimeters in the rear foot and 46 in the forefoot. This thing bounces like crazy. And whether it be the ball bearing or just feelings of bounce on foot, honestly, versus the Joker 1, on foot, it feels similar when you just have them on. As soon as you start going back and forth, like running on them, that's when you really feel it. If you're getting into the outsole tread like the Joker 1, it's more of a graffiti pattern. Like I said, it doesn't really matter what the traction is anymore with these compounds. As long as it's multi-directional, I should put that on a t-shirt. Look at this thing on the grip test ramp, exactly the same as the Joker 1. It doesn't slip till 44 degrees. Interesting though is this is polyurethane. That's rubber on the Joker 1. So different compound. The durometer on this is actually harder than the rubber compound. It's robust polyurethane, but the durometer is actually a little bit higher. So, it's a more shallow tread pattern. I think you can take this outdoors. We've seen a lot of these polyurethane compounds do pretty well outside. I still think it is best on indoor courts. And are these the best outdoor shoes on the planet? No, because I think more of the heat trapping concerns. Yeah, they protect your foot from the ground, that's for sure. So I would say in small doses, I think you can get away with it, especially with a little bit more of the strong outsole. The thing is, dynamic grip on these things, like I was saying, it didn't matter where I was, I've had these shoes for a little bit now. Anytime I make that first hard plant in them, like I said, they actually took a little bit to get used to because the dynamic grip on these things is very good. They do pick up a little bit of dust, honestly not as much as I thought. These polyurethane compounds aren't picking up dust like I thought they would. But these things, they do have a little bit of give with dynamic grip. They don't have give in terms of like whoops, like I'm slipping out. It's just that little bit, which actually is kind of nice. It's almost like the Fresh Foam BBV2, where it's that little bit of give, but you just know it's gonna stop. So for me personally, especially with how containing the uppers are on the lateral side, I like that, just that little bit, that hair of give on them. But like I said, never in doubt that they were actually going to stop. None of that like, ice skating feeling on them. And I look at these things on the speed ratio, they come in at a 2.96, then a shank score of 0.3 bumps it up to a 3.26. And yeah, I think that might be overselling it just a hair, but for the containment you get on these things, for honestly the low to the ground feel you get in these things with all the protection you get, the side to side stability, the great grip on these things, the lateral stability, everything, maybe it's not. So yeah, on the URS, for sure a 5 out of 5. Are they the fastest shoe on the planet? I don't think so. Are they one of the fastest shoes out there? Faster shoes out there? Absolutely. I look at these things on the outsole durability test, speaking of 10 seconds, highest grit sandpaper. Yeah, the burr basically just scuffs up the polyurethane. So yeah, like I said, I still think primarily indoor shoes just because of how shallow the tread is. But I think if you find yourself on outdoor courts, I think they do okay. All right, but getting into the fit of the Joker 1 GT, first of all, they still have that 15-degree inflare, which, like I said, is getting up there. And I think that's where some of the fit concerns come with some people, whereas my foot fits this pretty well. I think some other people that may not have that inflare, that's where they're kind of getting some of the fit issues. So we'll talk about that in a second. These do have 1 degree of rested eversion. That goes to 7 degrees with loading. You can see on that picture, the rear foot is not moving at all, right? And when, you can see what I'm seeing, the midfoot's not really moving. It's all the forefoot. It's all the flexibility, that foam in the forefoot. So although, yeah, they are allowing a little bit more eversion and some stiffer shoes, the nice thing is going laterally, because that lateral flange is so broad, fat, and wide. Is that all describing the same thing? But anyway, because that flange is so wide, I still have never had any issues laterally. So I think it puts you a little bit closer to the ground. So if you like that feeling, that is really good. I think with an orthotic in these, that also helps quite a bit. But like I said, the rear foot does stay stable. That TPU, like I said back in the midsole section, everything stays stable in the rear foot. It's the flexibility of the foam in the forefoot. I think that's doing it. If you look at the rest of the shoe, it's exactly the same as the Joker one. It's the same last shoe. So, for me, if you're a narrow medium foot, just from hearing from people that have had the Joker one, I'd say narrow medium foot, you just go true to size. A 2E, I think if you got the inflare, I went true to size. I was fine with my court shoe size, right? I was fine. But if you are a 2E, I don't think there's any reason you can't go up 1/2 size, and these are 4E. I don't think there's any reason you can't go up a size in these things just because they lock down so well. You want to break them in, right? You want to, make sure you can get that lockdown in there. To me, the shoe is still wide enough that a 2E and 4E, at least with the right inflare, if your foot matches the shoe, a 2E I think can get these true to size. A 4E you can go up 1/2 size, but I think you just got to match the inflare of the shoe. If you're more straight, more out flared of a foot, then I would say even a medium probably go up 1/2 size if you're more of a straight lasted foot or you're more of an out flared foot. So just keep that in mind. And in terms of people we've recommended these for, honestly, same as the Joker one. Like if these had the same flange as the Kai 2 or some of the Curry shoes, I'd think like, oh boy, that's not great. But because the whole I think is greater than some of the parts on these shoes, I think these do really well for both getting really low, getting that tactile sensation medially, while also getting really good lateral stability. I still think these are phenomenal pickleball shoes too, especially on indoor courts, because you can get really low in these things, and like some other shoes with that modified two-piece, you can pop up really easily. So for a shoe made for, really the quintessential big man on the court, these do incredibly well for more shifty type play, as well as keeping you really stable on the ground. I know I showed the angle of ascent of these things being 14 degrees. They are pretty flat up until the ball of the foot, and I think that's also what gives them a lot of stability, but also with a little bit more ascent in the forefoot, they transition a little bit easier. So honestly, same as the Joker one. These are one of the better ones on the market for sure. Are they better than the Joker one? Personal preference, really, to be honest. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, especially if you're coming from the Joker one or if you were on the sidelines and looking to get in with the Joker 1 GT. Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see what I'm talking about with the Joker 1 and take a little bit more of a deep dive into that one, or if you want to see the Team Joker going to the knife, which I thought was just a real surprising shoe with how good that one was, make sure you click into this video over here. And of course, make sure you subscribe down below. See you in the next one.